I'm going to pin you both. I don't know, pin you both to the screen. I'm not sure if you can on Zoom. Do you know that,
I think
Chris?
you can only pin one at a time, but that's fine. Pin Mike.
Well, what I'll do is, I think the speaker, whoever's speaking, is on the screen. So I think that's how it works.
Yeah.
So we're now recording. If you want, I can quickly introduce you again.
No, it's all right.
This is great friends, Chris and Mike.
Sick of hearing about myself.
I'll fix my background while you're talking, Mike.
Going to change your life by teaching you how to fast and how to get the right mindset. Away you go, Mike. Thanks again.
Thank you. And thanks again for having us here. This is very near and dear to my heart. It's a fairly recent discovery for me. I had dismal attempts fasting many years ago with splitting headaches, felt horrible, thought this is ridiculous. And the breakthrough for me, perhaps I should just do the usual disclaimer. We are not dispensing medical advice. We're recommending, we're not telling you to do any of this. We're only telling you what we do.
We are not witches and we are not
We're not witches. Right. So, we're just saying what works for us. And it comes from experts in the field like Dr. Tro Kalajian and Dr. Jason Fung, Toronto nephrologist, and others. But we recommend you look into it. And certainly there are people who should never fast, and there are people who are anorexic or very, very underweight. People with other serious health problems should check with their doctor first, especially if you're diabetic. Fasting can definitely cure type 2 diabetes, but you must do it with the assistance of a doctor who understands fasting. So that's the disclaimer done. You're on your own now. But a few months back, I was trying to get my weight down. And a couple of years ago, I had ballooned up to, which for me was a ridiculously high 190 pounds. I don't know what that is in stone, a lot. And that's nowhere near my proper weight. And I began through 4-Hour Body and a few other things, eating mostly keto. So I was eating a very reduced carb diet, got my weight down to a large degree, but then it stopped. And Chris is the fitness freak. He and I do a lot of exercise. We have our wellness academy. We teach body weight exercise, you can do anywhere and so on. But I couldn't get my weight to drop, even eating keto. And Chris gave me this gem of wisdom. He said, I recommend you do a 36 to 40-hour fast to trigger it and kick your body into fat burning. And so I did that. And it was not a very pleasant experience. I got what they call the keto flu for about 2 hours, where I just felt achy and horrible. And what was happening at a cellular level was my body was switching over epigenetically from being a glucose burning engine to being a fat burning engine. And that's what you want to have happen. And that's what humans are superbly good at. But in North America, at least, even though I'm a Lancashire lad, I've grown up in Toronto, I've become very Canadianized. In North America, the average person eats 6 times a day. They have their breakfast, they have a morning snack, they have lunch, they have an afternoon snack. I mean, kids have their milk and cookies, they come home from school, then you have supper, then you have a bedtime snack. And the result of this, especially when people are consistently eating carbohydrate-rich diets, they balloon up, gain a lot of weight, they wear their pancreas out. It's like whipping your pancreas with a piece of barbed wire every time you eat sugar and white bread. And so the whole idea was, if you could move away from this nonsensical idea that we're always supposed to be eating, your body will go into homeostasis, it'll normalize everything. And that's certainly what happened. And I started feeling so much better right away. I began intermittent fasting, meaning on a routine basis, I would skip breakfast. When you wake up in the morning, it's when you are the least hungry of the entire day. Hormones have shifted. And you wake up ready to take on the world if you're fasting. And I would go until lunchtime without eating anything. So I'm now going from supper time, maybe 6:30 at night, to about 12:30, 1:30 the following day. And then I would eat in a narrow window. And this is classic intermittent fasting. Eat during anywhere from a 2 to 8 hour window. And in that time, I'm going to focus on things that are nourishing and real food. So I'll have, greens, healthy fats and oils like coconut oil, butter, the things we were told would kill us that actually don't. And staying away from inflammatory foods like omega-6s that are found in, some of the nasty oils and fried foods and so on. And I'd eat a good amount of protein and healthy fat. And by healthy fat, I also mean not just the coconut oil and that, but olive oil and avocados, things of that nature. And this supported me in continuously burning fat. But I wanted to push it further and started looking at something called Omad, which is 1 meal a day. And the idea is you fast 23 hours a day and eat in a 1 hour window. Now, in that 1 hour window, you should eat the right things, not eat pizza if you can avoid it, but you can eat as much as you want. And typically, no matter how hungry you are, you can only eat about a meal and a half. It's just the way we are. And then you stop eating again till the following night. Well, what happens is the body switches into fat burning. You start burning ketones, throwing ketones off from your, Chris would know better than me, from the liver and so on. Your body starts to burn these. You use up all your glucose stores, the glycogen in your body, and you start feeling better. And then I started looking at doing 36-hour fasts. And that was, so let's say I would eat Wednesday night supper. I wouldn't eat all day Thursday. And then I'd eat Wednesday lunch when I'd meet Chris at his place. So I was doing about 36 to 40 hours. And I felt terrific. And I was amazed that all during Thursday, I wasn't hungry because my body had switched over to being fat adapted, and which is a very healthy thing. The opposite of this is being insulin insensitive, when people typically load up on so many carbs, they stuff their cells in their musculature and in their liver with glucose, which becomes glycogen stored. And everything is stuffed in like a suitcase. You can't get any more in. You're trying to stuff more and more in. So when you keep eating carbs, the rest of it's in your bloodstream. And your bloodstream can tolerate a very narrow range of blood sugar. If it's too low, you'll faint. If it's too high, you die. And so your pancreas kicks in right away to frantically try to bring this blood sugar down. And the way it does it, because it can't stuff it into the cells with insulin, is it turns it into fat. So you just keep putting more and more weight on, more and more fat. But when you fast, you use up the glycogen reserves. Your cells empty out, the suitcases are empty. Your body goes, and it switches over to fat burning instead. I'm just going to get to another point. I'm going to get Chris to interject on this because he's the resident science geek of the Wellness Academy, and he can correct me if I'm making any egregious errors here. But what happened was I started reading in Dr. Jason Fung's books, and he's really interesting. You can look at him on YouTube, free videos. He's a Toronto nephrologist. He's cured over 1,000 people of type 2 diabetes through fasting and keto diets. And I wanted to do a 72-hour. And the beautiful thing is, if you do this, you won't feel as bad as you think you will. Now, there's two mythologies about fasting. Here's the first one. You'll lose lean tissue. You'll lose muscle if you fast. And it's absolutely nonsensical. You will not lose muscle until your fat content of your body drops below 4%. And super thin marathon runners are typically 7 to 8%. So we can safely presume that no one watching this now is going to lose any muscle tissue from fasting. And the second thing that people are afraid of is they say, you don't understand. I get really hungry. I can't do it. Everybody thinks they can't do it. Everyone thinks that they're the one exception of human physiology, but they're not. See, your hunger is triggered by a hormone called ghrelin, and it's released in your brain, your small intestine, and your stomach. And after a while, this is released and it tells you, I'm hungry. I need to eat something. But it comes in waves. And if you ignore it, guess what? It goes away again. The ghrelin just disappears. And you don't feel hungry anymore. When you're fasting, your hunger will not just keep building and building and building until you go insane. It'll come in waves and then it'll go away. And I found when I first did this, the first day was the hardest, then the second day was a bit harder, then the third day was easy. Now I fasted Sunday night to Wednesday night, 4 weeks in a row. Each time it's gotten easier. Now I get virtually no hunger at all. And the beauty of it is you don't have to have just water. You can have tea, you can have coffee, you can have green tea, and you can even put cream in your coffee and cream in your tea. No milk, certainly not skim milk, too much sugar in it. And you can have the miracle of fasting, which is bone broth. Bone broth, chicken or beef, I buy it in a health food store as a powder. It's put a spoonful in a cup of boiling water, add a few herbs and spices if you want. You can put in a teaspoonful of grass-fed butter, and it is this warming, nourishing drink like a cup of soup. And you'll feel like you've had a meal, and that'll keep you going. And the miracle of it is I don't get hungry anymore. My current weight yesterday was 158.2 pounds. My weight's coming down. I'm getting leaner. I'm aiming to have what Chris Thompson has, which is a frickin' six-pack for the first time in my life. And he's a bastard because he just has one naturally. And some of us, especially since I'm closer to 70 than 60, have to work at it. But I have found fasting to be a remarkable tool. Chris, you want to interject at this point, and I'm going to get into some of the benefits here.
Yeah, I think you've made some excellent points already, and I'll just remind you that. So the idea of intermittent fasting, you can think of it as a compressed eating window. I like how you took people through the progression that you went on. So you started by doing, changing number one thing, change the type of food that you put in your mouth, right? So we're avoiding anything to do with processed grains and carbohydrates because they're just not meant to be human food. They really are not. We're meant to eat real food, not fake food that comes in a package from a factory, from a food company. And I call food in air quotes, food that makes them rich and makes you sick. And that is just not food. So real food. Once you do that, then if you want to lose weight beyond that, the compressed eating window is a wonderful way to improve your results. So whether that compressed eating window is as extreme as Mike's 1 hour a day, Omad, 1 meal a day, so 1 hour to just eat until you're satisfied, or whether you do a more typical, say, 16 hours off of food, 8 hours on. So typically eating between that noon and 8 p.m. type of window. That's pretty normal and actually really easy to get used to. And then if you want to crank it up from there, you can do full-time fasting for 24 plus hours. Mike's gone as far as now 72 hours. I've never done that. I think we did a 40-hour fast together. That was the longest I ever did it. Didn't really enjoy it personally. But I'm very much finding success with about a 4-hour eating window right now. And it's absolutely excellent. And what you said about the signs is totally true. Basically, when you eat fat, and it's not just fat in it's carbohydrates and fat together are the enemy. That what happens is your body preferentially will want to burn off the carbohydrate if it can. It doesn't want to store it as fat because it's an inefficient process. So it'll try to jam the carbohydrates in the glucose into your muscle cells, and it will try to jam it into the liver to store as glycogen if possible. But if those things are full, it can't and it must convert it to fat. Or, if you get diabetes, you're peeing out sugar, things like that. It'll always try to burn the fat first, which is just normal. That's your body trying to be efficient. So if we are eating a fatter meal, like a steak with a nice marbling on it, I love ribeye steaks. We don't want to be having French fries with those. We don't want to be having baked potatoes with those. We don't want to have a side dish of rice with those. So we preferentially are looking for foods that are rich in protein. And I describe it as follows. Fat just comes along for the ride. I'm typically never adding it on purpose. It just is there naturally and healthfully in some foods, but we're not dousing our foods with olive oil or avocado oil or coconut oil just because we want to think, oh, it's healthy. Yeah, it's healthy. It's not healthy to drown your food in it either, though.
Right.
So I'll stop there. That's
right. Yeah, absolutely agree 100%, Chris. So the 72-hour thing, the way this works with the bone broth is this. It's quite wonderful. So this is what I built up to, and it honestly is so effortless now, it's a joke. And I'm going to tell you what makes it easy. The bone broth and the app. There's a free app called Life Intermittent Fasting app. And this app is brilliant because you enter your stuff, your age and everything. You don't have to put it online. And when you start a fast, you tell how long you want to do, press start, and it shows you on an analog scale where you are. So you wake up in the morning, you've already fasted 12 hours, and it tells you what's happening at that time. You've now started to burn ketones instead of glucose. A little bit longer, now you're in high ketosis. But then it shows the other changes that are taking place. And one of them is the brilliant thing that I love, which is autophagy, or going into autophagy, which is self-eating. Now, remember I said you will not consume your muscle tissue. Your body will preferentially begin to consume dying dead cells. And the amount of DNA in a human cell, which you cannot see with the naked eye, the amount of DNA folded up carefully is 6 feet long. A teaspoonful of DNA will reach the moon. That's how fine a substance it is, but it has to be folded perfectly. And when you go into a proper fast and go into autophagy, about 24 hours in, your body starts looking for cells that are folded badly, proteins folded badly. It's looking for damaged cells, precancerous cells, cancerous cells, and starts consuming those and recycling them. So your body will also begin to attack some of the poorly folded proteins in your brain, which Jason Fung said may be one of the causes of Alzheimer's. So you're clearing your brain of all this garbage as well. And your body will start to self-dissolve by only consuming the bad stuff. When I did one a couple of weeks ago, I developed a boil on the back of my leg a week beforehand, and it was quite deep. And I thought, this is turning into a carbuncle, a bad boil. I had one once in my life before. And I thought, I'm going to have to get to the doctor and have this lanced and drained and use some poultices to draw this out. It's really painful. I went on the fast. The second day, I was well into the autophagy, and this thing came to the surface. The third day, it just dried up and fell off. In 3 days, it completely disappeared. My body had dealt with the toxins and gotten rid of it. My eyes were bright, my eyes were clear. So autophagy is a huge benefit for getting rid of the bad stuff in your system and detoxing you, even when you're having coffee, even when you're having bone broth. That's what's so miraculous about it. I was told before, you have to have only water or you're ruining the fast. And Jason Fung said, absolute nonsense. And that's been my experience. So I started fasting this time around on October 15th. Since then, I've lost pretty close to a stone, almost 14 pounds. And it's all garbage weight. I'm feeling so much better. And here's the thing. You begin to develop huge amounts of human growth hormone. Now, HGH is the fountain of youth hormone. The older you are, the less of it you have. It's developed in your pituitary as a child, and it is the health hormone insofar as it helps you heal faster. It helps your muscles develop faster. It heals broken bones faster. It just is this wonderful fountain of youth running through your body. When you fast for 48 hours, your HGH levels are 5 times higher. Your body goes, right, let's get to it. In fact, I read today a Japanese study shows over more than 30 changes take place, all beneficial in your blood chemistry in a fast of about 24 to 72 hours. So you've got the HGH, you've got the autophagy, you are burning fat. Your hunger has essentially disappeared. If you get a cup of bone broth and it's gone again. And at the end of it, you will feel absolutely amazing. And one of the startling things is you won't be tired. You'll have more energy than you can imagine. And you'll be so incredibly clear-headed because your blood sugar is not going up with what you eat. Then it crashes from the insulin coming in. Then you're starving. It goes up again. You eat back and forth. You'll find that you have consistent energy through the day. But then you have to know how to break the fast. And that's an important thing. Like I said, water is important. I don't believe in dry fasting. I think it's stupid. But water is important. Water is gold when you're fasting. It helps flush out the toxins. And the weird thing is, we're adults that can say this, you can be on a 3-day fast and you won't know where the frickin' garbage that is coming out of your body is coming from. You won't be able to believe it. You'll be 3 days with no food and you're saying, where is all this frickin' crap coming from? But it's garbage. It's toxins coming out of your system. And so water helps that go through. By the time you reach the end of the fast, you have to break it carefully. And the app shows you when you're coming up. Then it shows you, oh, by the way, 48 hours in, your immune system now starts to reset. 72 hours into a fast, you've got a new immune system. It's destroyed old antibodies, old macrophages that you didn't need. It's replaced them with new vibrant ones. So you want to fight off disease, COVID-19, all these things. Fasting is one of the best things you can do. So I'm just going to mention how you end it. I'm going to tell you about the convenient aspect of this, and then we'll get Chris back in again here. I'm sure he's champing at the bit because he's a science boy. But to end it, don't end your fast and then go chow down on a ton of stuff because it's too much at first. You got to realize after 12 hours on a fast, your entire digestive system has gone offline. It's just stopped. It's getting a rest. And because my wife and I drink a bottle of wine every night, the days I fast, that's 3 days with no alcohol. It's good for the liver, gives it a bit of a rest again. But when you start again, start gently. And here's the easiest way. Half an hour before your fast is supposed to end, or you can do this as the ending, eat something small, maybe a small salad. I have like a couple of cheese sticks, maybe a scoop of guacamole, a few olives or a few macadamias, just something very small. And that enables your digestive system to come back online. Give it half an hour. Then you can go and chow down and eat. The food will taste better than it's ever tasted in your life. Believe me, you can't imagine what that meal is like after 72-hour fast. And last night I was chowing down. I couldn't eat as much. My stomach had shrunk in the 3 days, but it was absolutely fantastic. Now let's talk about the convenience aspect, and then we'll get Chris in this again. Jason Fung, who puts this brilliantly, I highly recommend his books. I know Chris does too. The Obesity Code, he wrote. Diabetes Code, where he gets people off their insulin through fasting, as Tro Kalayjian does too, one of our guests in our podcast. And the third one is The Complete Guide to Fasting by Jason Fung, MD, Toronto doctor. It's all in there, and it's a really user-friendly book. But he says a really key piece of information. He said, fit fasting into your lifestyle. Don't force your lifestyle to fit the fasting. Yeah. And it makes so much sense. It's the easiest thing you can do because you don't have to do anything. All you do is stop eating. You're not doing a thing. And the convenience is amazing. When I used to be on the road for 43 years, England, Australia, and touring all over the place, I was such a food lunatic that I'd eat something before I left my house. I get to the airport, I go, oh, okay, I'm flying to, Milwaukee or something. What if we don't have enough food on the plane? What if it's not good food or they've only got snacks? So in the restaurant at the airport, I'd eat something big. I'd be on the plane. I'd be having something else and chips and stuff, which of course carbs make you hungrier. And then I'd be getting to the other end and I think, oh, hope the hotel has a restaurant for my keynote. Oh, they don't have a restaurant. Well, I'll order a pizza in my hotel room. I was just bound by thinking about food all the time, always hungry. Now, let's say the same scenario happened now. Say I hadn't eaten breakfast or lunch and I was planning on eating at the airport, went to the airport. Oh, the restaurant's full because of COVID. They won't let any more people in. Oh, okay, I'll get something on the plane. Oh, there's no food available on the plane. I go, oh, okay, I'll eat tomorrow or the next day. I mean, it's just nothing happens. It's just instantly adapted to it. And if I get a bit of hunger, I say, this is just a ghrelin wave. I'm just going to ride this out 20 minutes, half an hour. It's just gone again. And you'll find it will fit very, very conveniently into your lifestyle, depending which way you decide to do this, either one meal a day at first. And then we'll just give a caveat. Sorry, Chris, I want to give one caveat on this. The one thing you need to be careful of is fasting is not eating. It's not cutting down your food. One of our students say things like, oh, 12 hours in, I had some toast and a can of pop just to get me over the hump. I said, you've just stopped fasting. You have to reset again. You can't do that. It's like a smoker quits, Freddie, and then he says, oh, I'll just have a couple just to get me over the hump now that I'm great. No, you start smoking again, you're a smoker. You start eating again, you're broken your fast. And so realize it isn't calorie restriction. As Chris has said, I love to say, the body has no calorie receptors. There's no such thing. People used to eat good food with healthy fats in them and enough fiber, and they didn't count calories, and everybody was normal weight until hyper-processed food and loading up on bread and carbs and pasta and rice and sugars and chocolate bars and all of these things. And so I had a brilliant point there, Chris. I haven't fasted enough. I can't remember what it was. The whole aspect of this is when you fit it into your life, you can make it fit easily, no matter what your lifestyle is. But don't think that you can eat a little bit partway through. You've broken the fast. Realize you have to stop eating. It's not calorie reduction. That's why things like Weight Watchers don't work. They work for 6 months and then they stop working. Because if you're eating, say, we'll count calories for a minute, even though they're ridiculous. If you're eating 2,000 calories a day and your weight's not changing, you know that you're using 2,000 calories a day. It's just physics. So let's say you do a 500 calorie deficit. You start counting your calories and you cut down 500, so you're eating 1,500 a day. At first, you'll start dropping weight, but then your body will panic on this and it will adjust your metabolism. So you'll stop losing weight, even though you're eating less food, and you'll start to get tired and cold. And that tells you your metabolism is slowing, and that's bad. You do not want your metabolism slow. And that's why The World's Biggest Loser, that TV show, why there's no reunions. They've all put the freaking weight back on except for one person. It's not natural. You can't do that. So fasting isn't cutting down the amount of food. It's taking long breaks from food during which you burn fat. Now realize if you do a 48 to 72 hour fast, you'll drop about 5 pounds right away. But that's not fat. You're dropping the water that was held by all the carbohydrates, and you're dropping all the garbage that was in your digestive tract. So when you eat again, that will come back, the water will come back, but you also lose about half a pound of fat per day per fast. So you're consistently dropping half a pound of fat per day that you're fasting. Even though the water comes back on and the stuff in your system, you'll still be half a pound a day down, which will be actual fat loss. Chris, over to you, buddy.
Yeah, I just want to throw in a few comments here. I made a few notes here. So first of all, let's just tag on to what you just said, that fasting is a great idea if you want to lose some extra body fat. Once you hit your objective, you're probably not going to end up doing 3-day fasts every week or anything like that. Instead, you might decide, and I don't know what Jason Fung's advice is, the doctor in Toronto that we love and respect so much, But once in a while, you may do a 3-day fast or a 4-day fast or something like that, just to do that recycling, that autophagy that Mike was saying. There are thought to be by medical experts health benefits of fasting once in a while. Of course, this is very common in a lot of cultures and religions, right? Then they're not doing it for weight loss. It's just part of the way that they act. Every few times a year, these things happen. So it's not a long-term thing where you're going to be on a 72-hour fast like Mike is every week. Makes sense? You're with me on that, Mike? You agree?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. In fact, I want to weigh 11 stone. That's probably about right for me. So I've got about 4 pounds to go. And when that happens, I'll taper back on my fasting. But we're talking not just about the stellar fat loss that you will get, which you really will. It's impossible for it to not work. We're not only talking about that, but the health benefits. You'll have so much energy. Your thinking will be clearer. Your immune system will be stronger. You're getting the fountain of youth in your bloodstream from the HGH. You're doing autophagy to eat disease cells and probably precancerous cells. All these amazing things are happening. You're getting an immune system reset. It's one of the best things you can do for your health. And I promise you, Chris and I are, our tagline we're always yelling is, these are days of victory. Man, oh man, you will feel victorious. But I'm not recommending that you start with a 3-day. It'll be too hard. What I recommend you do is start with intermittent fasting. Start by eating in a narrow window. Start by eating it 8 hours a day and cut the carbs down. The breads, the potatoes, the cookies, the sugars, cut them down and eat in a narrow window. Then make it 6 hours. And after you've done that for a few days, then try a 24-hour, then a 48-hour. But if you're doing Omad 1 meal a day and you're getting cold and tired, you're not eating enough. That's why I don't like the 1 meal a day so much as a 2-hour window if I'm doing that. Because a couple of hours before supper, I'll eat some cheese and some guacamole and a few other good things, maybe some nuts. Then I'll eat a normal supper and I won't get cold and tired. Speaking of which, Caucasian Brits, Mark Sisson said, which I am too, Caucasian Brits, Mark Sisson said, genetically, we have the highest tolerance to dairy products of anyone in the world. So we can eat all the cheese typically and cream and all those things we want without any bad effect. He thinks we should actually load up on the proteins in a good quality red luster or double cluster.
I must have British genes, Mike.
Chris, you're Polish. You wish.
I must have some British genes.
Wish. But yeah. Anyway, and then once you've done it a couple of times, people say, "Oh, I get too hungry, I can't do it." There's a great cheating way of switching over epigenetically to being a fat burning engine. Now, when you're a fat burning engine like we are now, my body will burn either. If I have a piece of cake or something, it'll burn the sugar in it. But if I fast and eat, proteins and everything, it'll start burning my own body fat. It just goes back and forth.
You're reteaching your body how to be metabolically flexible.
Metabolic flexibility, yes. So when that happens, one of the cheating things you can do, that was on Jason Fung's podcast, he tells people who want to lose weight, they want to fast, and they want to get their body healthier, and they say, "Oh, I can't do it. It's too hard. I'll get a headache and all this." He said, "Here's how you do it. For 3 days, eat nothing but olives, bacon, and avocados without limit. As much as you want, just those 3 things for 3 days. Believe your blood, you won't have any problems with your blood markers, nothing." He said, "The avocados, bacon, and olives as much as you want for 3 days. That will turn your body into a fat burning engine." There's no carbs in any of that.
Sounds great.
And it is. And then once that's done, then you can just start your fasting and your body will have learned. You see, it doesn't have to be difficult. And the effects are amazing. Chris and I, we eat our epigenetic meals every Friday. We have the same thing. 1/2 pound of beef, ground beef with no bun. The bun is just the delivery mechanism. 1/2 pound of beef with bacon, crisp bacon, cheese, jalapeno peppers, tomatoes, onions, big salad with blue cheese dressing. And that's fine. A glass of wine or 2. And it's absolutely amazing. And how well does this work? Chris knows this story. I was at the doctor a few years back before I got into this, and he said, "Your blood work's bad." I said, "What?" He said, I think you've got a fatty liver. I went, "Oh no, precursor for what? Cirrhosis of the liver." So he sent me for ultrasound. The ultrasound confirmed it. I had a fatty liver. And he said, "Here's what you got to do. Cut down your fat, cut down the meat, don't eat any eggs, eat more fruit and vegetables, more healthy whole grains." I started research. I did the opposite. He said, "No alcohol." I did the opposite. Split a bottle of wine with my wife every night. I ate about 3 eggs a day, sometimes 5, tons of red meat, lots of cheese and butter, greens though, healthy greens, very little fruit. I went back for my test. And when the nurse phones, that's good news. When the doctor phones, it's bad news. And I got home and it's Dr. Luley. He said, Mike, could you please phone me? I got your results. I thought, oh shit, it's the doctor. So I phoned him back. He said, Mike, what have you been doing? I said, why? He said, your blood work is perfect. He said, there's no fatty liver, nothing. He said, everything is exactly where it should be. I said, you're not going to believe this. I've gorged on eggs, meat, bacon, cheese, all of these things, greens, a lot of healthy whole greens and omega-3s and fish and, chicken as well. And it corrected all my blood work. And that's the kind of results I find are pretty typical, Chris.
Yeah. Okay. So you probably made a bunch of the points that I was planning on making, so I'll keep this short and sweet. So when Mike talks about breaking the fast, first thing, don't even worry about this until you get there. But everybody remember watching those Survivor type of shows where they go on an island or whatever, and they, and then one of the rewards might be, oh, you get a feast meal or something. They've been 2 weeks, just getting whatever fish they could catch out of the ocean and stuff like that. And then they win this reward challenge and they get this meal and they're all puking, and because they can't handle it. Their bodies are not meant to do that. So that's the idea of breaking that fast slowly. Next thing, I want to come back to this concept of the calorie. Our friend, Dr. Kalajian, he says, and I love this, he says, the calorie needs to die. The concept of the calorie needs to die. I researched this. It was only discovered it was invented as a concept for measuring energy around the mid 1800s. And it was originally for heat engines and things like that. And it eventually made its way into the nutrition dialogue glossary around the calories and energy content for food. Before we knew about this, we didn't know about it. So how did we count these things? We couldn't, right? Your body is meant, we're all, many of us hypnotists here, things happen unconsciously, and unconscious processes are very natural. And your body's homeostasis, your body's control of pH level in the blood, oxygenation level in the blood, temperature regulation. If you go out for a run in the really hot sun and you've been wearing a sweatshirt or a sweater and the sun's beating down on you, you don't take a thermometer and put it in your mouth and go, well, my internal temperature is rising. I should probably undress a little bit here for my own safety. No, you get a feeling of being too hot and your body says, take off the sweater, run in a t-shirt or whatever it is. Similarly, if you haven't had enough water, you don't need to measure, oh, well, this is how much water I took in and this is how much urine I produced out, and this is how much evaporation happened from sweat. I better drink some water so that I don't get dehydrated. Of course not. You feel thirsty and you go and drink some water. And this is a normal process. And so it seems strange to us that there's so many people out there saying, well, that one thing that you absolutely have to count though is calories, right? If you want to stay thin, you have to count those. It doesn't make any sense in the world because these things are all controlled by body's processes, in this case, hormones, right? So insulin, ghrelin, leptin, all these hormones are taking care of business for you. The problem is when you, since we're in the days of COVID, we can use the metaphor of a computer virus, right? You get a virus that screws up the way a computer is running. That's like eating a bunch of crap food, processed junk that your body was never meant to eat, carbohydrates that are coming from refined flours and refined corn flours. And of course, all these vegetable oils, they call them vegetable oils to make them sound healthy. But if you look at the ingredients of a salad dressing and you see soybean oil, corn oil, canola oil meant to sound like it's healthy, Canadian oil, ooh, healthy, right? No, it's junk, it's garbage. And that's going to screw up your metabolism. And that's going to screw up your body's ability to maintain its natural set point. It's like somebody walking into your house and turning up the thermostat to a much, much higher temperature. That's your body's weight thermostat. It'll get dialed up. And you'll just continually put on a few pounds every year until you're older, and you've become a health disaster. And you can reverse that very, very easily by choosing the right kind of foods first. And if you want to accelerate the process, like we've been saying, either intermittent fasting or fasting, full fasting, You talked about growth hormone briefly, Mike. This is a cool concept. I hadn't thought about this in a while. When you said that fasting causes growth hormone to be produced, human growth hormone, I believe that the 3 ways to produce growth hormone are fasting, sleeping, and exercise. To exercise near to failure. So like lifting a weight until you can't lift it anymore, doing push-ups, things like that. So wouldn't it be wonderful if you could regain some of the youth that we've all been losing simply by fasting, as Mike suggested, if you have weight to lose, get good night's sleeps, and do reasonable amount of exercise? You'll completely transform your life with those 3 things. And it all starts by making the right food choices about what you put in your mouth. Next thing is baby steps, right? So I've never run a marathon. I'm not a runner. I don't enjoy running. But if I wanted to, I would not just go out and run a marathon. I would train for it. I would have to work my way up. And similarly, Mike was mentioning fasting. You're not just going to jump in and do a 72-hour fast. Play little challenges with yourself. Can I skip breakfast today? Can I get used to the idea that it's very easy to skip breakfast on a daily basis and not eat until noon? And then can I skip that evening snack that I might have had at 8 o'clock? Can I stop eating at 7:30, whatever it is? Just narrow your window and then challenge yourself. Can I do one day where I simply don't eat until 4 p.m. and I stop at after dinner at 6:30 or 7 or whatever it is? Work your way up slowly and just challenge yourself. You'll do it. It'll be wonderful and you'll regain your health and you'll feel amazing.
That's it, Chris. It's a regaining the health. You know, I've said before, my mom died at 53 of cancer. My dad died at 57 of his first heart attack, first sign of heart disease, a fatal heart attack. I'm 67, coming up 68, and I never thought I'd live this long, but I'm feeling pretty amazing. And I just wanted to read you. I've got this on my, I can't share screen with this, but I'm just going to tell you, this is the benefits. If you do a quick fast, I'm going to take out one earphone because they're dead here. Listen to this, 4 to 8 hours, first 4 to 8 hours, blood sugar falls, all food has left the stomach, insulin is no longer produced, so you're not putting on any fat now. 12 hours in, food consumed has been burned. Your digestive system goes to sleep, your body begins a healing process. Human growth hormone begins to increase. Glucagon is released to balance your blood sugar because you're switching to fat burning. When you hit the 14-hour mark, your body's converted to using stored fat now as energy. And HGH, human growth hormone, starts to increase dramatically. Fountain of youth, 16 hours in, your body is ramping up fat burning. 18 hours in, HGH starts to skyrocket. 24 hours, autophagy begins. You start eating the bad cells. It drains all your glycogen stores and your ketones are released into the bloodstream. 36 hours in, autophagy increases by another 300%. 48 hours in, autophagy now is 30% more than that. Your immune system does a full reset and regeneration of your cells starts. Increased reduction in inflammatory response. Inflammation disappears. You feel pain-free. 72 hours in, autophagy completely maxes out. And from then on, you're just, if you can keep going after that, the sky's the limit. I'm thinking next year, early in the new year, I want to do 5 days. That's going to be the next one. But Jason Fung says, if you can do 2 days, he said 7 is no harder. The second day tends to be the hardest. And you say, it's just the ghrelin hormone wave. I'm going to surf this wave until it disappears and have a hot drink. And having the coffee and the tea, it makes a whole difference in the world.
I want to throw in one final point that I think this is perhaps the most important point, just given where the world is. The world is crazy right now. And we are all dealing with a virus that scares a lot of people. Some people have different views on health situation that's going around the world. But the reality is this is the one thing that not enough people are talking about, but the awesome medical doctors that we follow and pay attention to, because these guys are awesome, they're all aware of this. The number one thing that you can all do to improve your health and reduce the risk of any virus, any disease, any problem hitting you is to regain metabolic health. Which
you're saying this will do.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay.
You were expecting more. You were expecting Ken Sweatman there.
I was.
Yeah. Regain your metabolic health. When your body is metabolically healthy, that means that your body can deal with a glucose load. You eat that muffin or something, and not that you should very often, but we all do once in a while, eat a piece of pizza or eat a piece of pie, or
yes,
have that Thanksgiving meal for the Americans who just celebrated. You want to be able to deal with that stuff. You don't want your body to go, wow,
Chris, that's such a good point. I'm glad you brought that up, because we're never saying never have pizza again, never have Chinese food.
Yeah.
We're not saying, oh, never eat cake. No, Jason Fung says you've got to balance fasting with times of feasting. Life should be enjoyable too. At Christmas, we're going to load up on a bunch of food and have cake and some ice wine, and it's going to be amazing. And then a couple of days later, I'll probably do another 72-hour fast, and I won't have gained any weight over the Christmas holidays. Never say never. It's just, you don't want to be putting that in your system too much. And I just want to quickly mention about wheat. I developed early phlegmy cough years and years ago, and I was drinking a lot of heavy cream, like half and half cream and half milk in coffee. And my wife said, "It's that, you're coughing, you're sensitive to dairy." And I kept producing phlegm. And it wasn't that, it was the freaking wheat. It was the wheat, the bagels, the donuts, the toast. Once I quit eating the wheat to a large degree, my cough disappeared, despite the fact that I drink about 1 liter of cream a week. Brits, right? Back to the Brit Caucasians, we can handle it. So if you're coughing and sniffling and stuffed up and you have chronic sinus issues, just try removing the wheat for a couple of weeks and see what happens. All the grains, you may surprise yourself with that.
Mm-hmm. Here, I'll give you guys one more little bit. When I know so many people are interested in weight loss and are told that you need to eat less and move more, right? So if you get out of the calorie counting mentality and into the food quality mentality and understand that your body will take care of its own calorie regulation, you don't actually have to exercise at all to lose weight. I hope that you enjoy exercise and get involved with it for the health benefits of it and the muscular strength increases and all of that. But it isn't actually necessary to burn fat.
Yep, calorie in, calorie out, the old model is not true. It's not true. Like I said, if you cut by 500 calories and you're at 2,000 a month, or a day, a month you'd be dead. 2,000 a day, you cut it by 500, you go to 1,500, your metabolism will slow, so you're only burning 1,500 a day. And what is weird is Jason Fung says after about 6 months or so, it'll start reversing. Even if you don't eat more, you'll start putting the weight back on again.
The body's amazing at adapting, right? So if you cut the calories and leave them cut, your body will go, oh, wait, I'm not getting as much energy. Better slow down, better be tired.
It'll find a way around it. Yeah.
But if you're confusing your body, hence doing the fasting for a few days, and then boom, you eat normal again. Your body doesn't go, oh, this is a problem. It goes, oh, it's okay. Everything's fine. Don't need to react to this.
Right. And remember, if our forebears, lived in caves and hunted antelope and things, they wouldn't have big meals every day. Exactly. They didn't know when they catch something and they gorge on this and feast on it and it would be gone. That's wouldn't be to their advantage. Yeah, it wouldn't be to their advantage to be exhausted and not able to go and hunt. That's why when you fast, you get tons of energy. It's so you can go and get that next meal. You can fight that gazelle or whatever the heck it is. Yeah. So you won't be tired. You won't be hungry once you adapt to it, and you can do it really, really quickly, and it will absolutely change the quality of your life at the end of this. Let me just say, check out the app, Life Intermittent Fasting app. It's a great resource. It is free, and we find it really helps motivate. You can look and say, why would I quit? In another 2 hours, I'm in autophagy, and it'll help you. And also, we really recommend Jason Fung's books, F-U-N-G, or look on YouTube. His lectures are all over YouTube. Like I said, he's an MD, a nephrologist, and he's absolutely amazing. And again, check with your doctor if you've got concerns, especially if you're diabetic. We have a friend who was on oral diabetes medicine. The fasting took his blood sugar down to normal. He was thrilled, went off the fast, and immediately took his meds again. So his blood sugar crashed because he basically was a normal person now taking blood sugar medication. So be careful. If you're in normal health, it's completely safe. It's a normal part of life. But if in doubt, always check with your doctor first. Back to you, Freddie.
Oh, thanks. It's absolutely brilliant. I mean, I'll put my mic on. Hold on. My mic on? Can you hear me?
Yep, you're on. Loud and clear.
Yeah, I did. As I said, we had Nick Spone on last night, and because I'd eaten at 5, then I was late home. I didn't eat, so I woke up. I thought I'd done 14 hours. I might as well just see if I can do the 24 hours. And I wasn't hungry. I had a root ginger tea. That was it, and water. And I was surprised how the fact I wasn't hungry. It was more the kind of habitual thought, oh, I'm here, so I'm going to eat something. But once you get past that, and I think that's where kind of hypnosis comes in. If we can just say, right, get our brain to go past that we don't need it, or it's just what we do at this time of the day. I didn't find 24 hours hard at all. I was going to go more. But my wife said, look, I made you a stew. You might as well have that. So it didn't take much to kind of talk me out of going for another 8 hours. But I think I could have done. And I think the idea of just having a meal in the evening, keeping busy in after your meal and then sleeping. And it's like one of those things you think, well, I've done this far, and I might as well do the next 10 hours.
It gets easier every time. I said, when I did my first 72-hour, by day 3, I was suddenly really energized and productive. When I did the next one, day 2, I was energized. And the one I just finished yesterday, right from the first day, super energy. I get so much more done. I save money because I'm not buying food. I'm not eating food. You know, if you're eating 3 meals a day, it's 9 fewer meals a week if you fast 72 hours. And I see myself for the immediate future just fasting every week until I'm essentially where I want to be for a couple more weeks anyway. And it's easier than you think. You'll feel better than you realize. You won't be hungry all the time. And there's ways of making it manageable and fit into your life.
Well, we have people in this group that don't particularly want to lose weight. They just want to feel healthier and fitter. Would you suggest to someone who's at kind of normal weight or the weight they want to be that they should still fast or not?
Yeah, definitely. Because you get the autophagy benefits, get rid of those pre-cancer cells, get rid of the misfolded proteins, and
just once in a while.
Occasionally, you know, maybe a couple of times a month or once a month for 2 days. And that's the beauty of it. It is so flexible.
And is one day, 24 hours enough to make a difference to those, you know, those cells and everything else? 24 hours, because it didn't seem hard.
It's a good start. It's a good start, and it will certainly start the fat burning. The autophagy, I think, kicks in after about 24 hours. So every hour you can go beyond that, you're getting greater benefits. That's why I like 72, because I figure I'm getting 48 hours of autophagy with it, and a lot of human growth hormone at the same. It's just that, and it really doesn't feel any harder. And you know, this time around, when supper came around on last night, I made my wife's amazing meatloaf, which is ground beef, pork, and lamb. And I make a peppercorn gravy with brandy and, you know, garlic mashed potatoes with a big dollop of butter and a lot of stuff. But even while I was making it, I still wasn't hungry. I'm going, okay, I'm going to really enjoy this, but I'm not starving like I thought I'd be.
Yeah, if you're already more or less at the weight that you enjoy being at and you want to improve your health, the two things that you can do are improve the food quality and add exercise. And when I say add exercise, I don't mean just go for walks and things like that. It's great, but do resistance training with your own body. Mike and I teach this very simple process. You only need 60 minutes of extra time per week that you can take away from, let's say, wasted time on TV or social media. If you can carve out, even in the beginning, 5 to 10 minutes, 3 times a week, just to do body weight exercises, that's plenty, and you'll get amazing results. And I know, Freddie, you're very much into body weight exercises too, right? And it's very easy to get an excellent workout in a very short period of time.
I wrote a book, but I did a book on what I call a rope exercise, just a single piece of rope. And as you know, when I travel, I put it in my case. And it's just a single piece of rope. You tie a knot, that's like 4 meters long, tie a knot in the middle of it, and then you tie a kind of loop in each end. And when I'm away, I'll sling it over the top of the hotel door, shut the door, and then I can use my body weight. So just using your body as a lever. So anyone wants it.
That's brilliant.
Now, you know, just email me. I'll send it to you.
Oh, that sounds magic. I'd love to see that. Love to see that.
Yeah.
Oh, the other final point here I should make is people ask, well, what about when you're fasting? Do you still do your workout? I do a pretty good workout for a guy 67. You know, I do 4 kinds of push-ups. I do 200 Hindu squats in one set and fast. And I've got a resting heart rate of like 52, 53 beats a minute, even though my dad died of heart disease. But people say, well, yeah, but can you do that when you're fasting? Actually, during a 72-hour fast, it's even easier because I just got so much freaking energy. I fly through the workout. I don't cut it down in the slightest. And it's ramping my metabolism up a bit more. So I'm burning even more fat as a result of it.
So has anyone
go ahead.
Has
I do
anyone got any
I do my
questions for Mike
out
and
every
Chris?
day with no food in my system at all.
Has anyone got any
Oh,
questions for Mike or Chris? Because we've got 5 minutes left. I've got this thing that I've been running daily at 9 o'clock. So has anyone got any questions? Just switch your mic on and ask the question.
I asked, what could you take if you're vegetarian
There you go, Chris.
instead of bacon and things like that?
Yeah, I know there's a lot of vegetarians and vegans out there. It's more difficult because you can still remove the processed grains, the wheat. Basically, wheat is the worst offender. You can still remove that.
Plus is wheat.
Pardon?
Porridge.
Porridge is oats typically, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you would want to avoid that too. Steel cut's not nearly as bad, but you can still eat. If you're vegetarian and you're eating eggs, that's still a great choice. If you're you can do all kinds of legumes and beans, and you can do substitute for meat products that exist. My opinion, and this is purely from a science, not from an ethics and the eating of animal ethics. I won't enter that argument at all. From a scientific standpoint, eating animal foods is superior to exclusively plant products.
And what about corn? Can they?
It's a grain. It's a grain, not a vegetable.
Yeah, it's not a vegetable. Yeah.
Oh, right.
If they make,
It's got almost
they
no
make
nutritional
tortilla
value.
chips. They call them corn chips in North America. I don't know if they call it that way in Britain, but chips that you dip with salsa, it's tortilla chips. Those are corn flour.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Unfortunately, Mike, I've got to go because there's been people waiting for me to do this thing, which I've been running. But I want to thank both you, Mike and Chris, for doing this for us. It's been absolutely great, and taking this time out. It's gone very quickly, but I know we've all got some real information. I'm going to do it. And so if anyone's in my group, the Creating Your Body and Health, what I'm going to suggest to you is we have one evening where we do some hypnosis, where if anyone wants to say, like, I haven't done it yet, we want to do a 24-hour together, I think that might be a good idea. And then we'll just
do it.
Just get our minds right. And we all say, right, tomorrow at whatever time we start, and then we see how we go. And then over the next 2 or 3 weeks, see if we can push it to 24 hours. And we can all
That'll work.
See what's happening.
That'll work.
Yeah. So I really appreciate Mike, and I really appreciate Chris as well for being here. I can't wait for this COVID thing to be out of the way. We can get together in person.
Yeah.
Maybe Las Vegas. Are you booked for Las Vegas this year?
We are.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So I am too. So hopefully I'll see you there. But then as soon as we can, we'll get together. And I'm just moving to the north of England, to Cumbria. So any of you ever want to come over, bring your families, it'll be great. Okay.
Magic. Come back home again, lad.
It'll be good. But thanks very much. And it was great. What can I say?
Thanks, buddy. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for everyone in the group.
Enjoy your fast. Get in the fast lane.
Thank you.
Do it. Okay. Take care. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Thank
And
you.
I'm just moving over to the other. If you're with me tonight on the,
Thank you.
I'm going to go over there now.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.